Welcome to all geeks. Welcome to everybody. First of all, let me wish you a great new year. This is our first webinar in 2021. So we are very glad to open the new series of webinars with an English edition and with a great speaker. Tonight, we have invited Suleiman Ali. Hi, Suleiman. Good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Antonio. I'm fine, and happy New Year to everyone.
Thank you for being here, for having found time to share with our geeks some of your views about the topic of tonight, which is a very interesting topic, the new professions in the world of cloud computing. We know what happened last year. We have been experiencing smart working. We have been experiencing, our children have been experiencing the smart education. Smart working, smart education means a lot of cloud computing platform use. And it also determined that there has been a huge demand of professional profiles who are able to work in the field of cloud. We think of cloud data migration, solution architect, but I don't go into details because you will tell us more about that. It's very important, the topic tonight, because we have been reading a lot of bad news about the consequences of this pandemic. Many people have lost their jobs. But at the same time, at least tonight, we can talk about very positive things. There is a huge demand of professional profiles in the field of cloud computing. It can be an opportunity for many people who are looking forward to reorientate professionally their career. And we can approach this topic with Suleiman. Who is Suleiman Ali? First of all, he's a former student of Geeks Academy, and that's a very important point. Second, he's teacher of Geeks Academy because he was our student nearly 5 years ago. He started with our bootcamp in big data junior professional. We focus on business integration. But since then, he has been working in various companies. We will go into details later on. And in the last few years, he specialized as a senior cloud engineer or solution architect. And he got so many requests that he decided to become a freelance, a consultant. So Suleiman Ali is working both in Italy and abroad, especially in Africa. So we are very glad to have invited him because we have to talk specifically what's happening in this field and what we mean by cloud computing. So let me ask you, first of all, Suleiman, what is cloud computing?
Okay, what is cloud computing? Put simply, cloud computing is the distribution of computing services, stuff like servers, storage resources, databases, networking resources, software, analytics, and even the access to intelligence, which could also be spread across the globe via the internet. So by just using the internet, you could have access to all of that. That ecosystem or that together is called cloud computing, or what we refer to today as cloud computing.
Okay, perfect. So all those services being delivered through internet, so they can reach everybody wherever a person is all over the world. And by the way, you prepared a slide which we can just show. You can comment on it.
Okay.
it's a slide about the father of maybe cloud computing, but please comment it.
So basically, these are two famous quotes from two of, let's say, my heroes and the most well-known, the godfather of the internet or the ARPANET project, Leonard Kleinrock, as well as John McCarthy. John McCarthy, the inventor of Lisp language, said if computers of the kind I have advocated become the computers of the future, then computing may someday be organized as a public utility, just as the telephone system is a public utility. The computer utility, he called it, could become the basis of a new and important industry. Where Leonard said, as of now, computer networks are still in their infancy. That was around 1969. But as they grow up and become sophisticated, like we see today, we will probably see the spread of computer utilities, which, like present electric and telephone utilities, will service individual homes and offices across the country. So they have predicted this outcome. They have seen that the computing will become a utility as a resource in the future, they saw, which is what's happening today.
Absolutely. So computer like cloud computing, like electricity, like telephone utilities. Before asking you the next question, let me remind some figures we have collected about cloud computing. So we know that in 2020, 68% of companies globally have been using at least one public cloud platform for their daily business operations. And they say that cloud computing is set to become a more than 330 billion industry by 2022, with a projected revenue growth between 2021 and 2025 of 30% annually. So it's becoming a huge industry. So we can easily understand why in the last 6 months of last year, the cloud computing profession has been one of the most requested. There has been a request by the job market equal to plus 110%. So it's a huge increase in demand of this kind of skills. So tell us a little bit about these new emerging professional profiles related to cloud computing and what's happening in this sector.
So basically, the reality of businesses today, and in particular after the pandemic, the last year in 2020, the reality, what happened is that there was this shift of doing operations, doing sales, doing work, and a lot of companies had to ditch their traditional ways of of doing things and had to adopt the cloud. That need came from that necessity and need came from the demand that the services that the cloud providers offer. So instead of like let's say 10 years ago, building a platform, a business platform, or an e-commerce platform would take you time. Deploying it would take you almost the same time it took you to develop a system like that. But today, the go-to-market barrier is very, 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 very thin. You could start your product or your service and make it as highly scalable as possible while paying only for the usage. So you pay only for what you use. And that is a very big selling point for companies like Amazon and their branch Amazon Web Services, companies like Microsoft and their Azure cloud services, as well as Google. This ecosystem created a lot of easy ways to launch apps, a lot of easy ways to launch servers. Imagine launching a company like Netflix that deploys thousands of times per day new releases and launches hundreds of thousands of containers on thousands or hundreds of thousands of servers every week.
Absolutely.
So
it's a great opportunity also for startups, for small, medium enterprise, which they can't afford big capital investment in infrastructure and hardware, and they can use the cloud computing, just pay as a service. So they can even right away, they have a time to market very short because they can buy services. Then of course there are different kind of services. You have internet infrastructure as a service, platform as a service for the developer, for example, software as a service for different application. So this pay-per-use is definitely making life of many small company much easier. We also noticed that also salaries for this kind of professions in the field of clouds are in certain cases skyrocketing because of course everything happened, there has been an acceleration in the use of cloud computing services in the last few months. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely true. What happened is that when everyone stayed at home, companies like Zoom, companies like Microsoft with their product teams, companies like Slack just had an exponential growth of a lot of businesses signing up, transitioning into the new normal or the smart working model, let's say. That itself created a lot of changes. Companies that did not want to subscribe to software as a service products opted to use open source technologies deployed on their own private cloud, for example. Companies that were doing traditional business opted to use software as a service to make their operations easier. Companies, startups like in the food delivery area, for example, utilize the cloud to scale their high operations in the last year, where everyone just started ordering and not going out, and so on. So all these things together created a necessity where companies need very highly skilled people. And that demand also created high salaries because of the low percentage of people who are specialized in cloud or have years of experience in cloud in general.
Absolutely. So we know that we usually, when we speak of professions connected with cloud computing, we talk of cloud engineer jobs. And we can go into more details, and we can say that we can recognize three types of profiles. So the cloud architecture, the cloud development, and the cloud support. Each stay at a different level. So we have the cloud architecture. I have here just in front of my eyes these yearly salaries. Of course, those are figures which probably take into consideration American market or developed countries markets. But let's say cloud architect, they say salaries in this role average 110. More or less $107,000 per year. So $100,000 per year. And then we have the cloud development, and they say also here you have different types. You have cloud engineer, cloud developer, cloud software developer. Then we have also the cloud support engineer. So the lowest one, it's the cloud support, the cloud system technician. They average per year $45,000-$50,000. So it seems that it's quite interesting field for those that want to reorientate their professional career, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely right. And the barrier for entry into this kind of jobs, if you are coming from a background in IT or in software in general, is very low. You don't need to go through 4 years of degree, for example, or go through a specialized master's degree to get to that level. If you are already coming from a background in development, software development, you could easily get into operations by learning or by getting certified in a certification from a specific provider, or by building and learning by using a specific service or technology on a specific provider. Or you could even use open source technologies where you don't need to actually know the cloud provider, but know only the orchestrator or the open source platform, which makes cloud agnostic for you, and you could use it on Azure the same way you use it on AWS and the same way you use it on Google, and that's the beauty of it. Senior jobs and the high management jobs, of course, needs experience, and the today's needed experience is way less than the other similar roles. You could become a senior cloud engineer in matter of 3 years experience in the field as a junior, and so on. There is also some very interesting new emerging roles, and some of those are very, very highly requested here locally in Italy and in general around Europe. Which is the Devops Engineer or the Devops Automation Engineer, which is a figure that has development experience and operation experience, and his job is mainly automation to make the development life cycle easier for developers, for project managers, and for companies. So you don't need for no more to deploy manually. Developers just push their code, push their changes, pipelines run, do coverage tests, security scanning, do the building, and then it will be automatically deployed with a continuous deployment system to a target environment. And from there could be promoted to a production environment with one approve click. I have implemented something similar with a company called Movex. We have collaborated on making a GitOps, a Git operations based workflow. So everything that we do that you see in the production environment or in the cloud is based on Git. So if it's not committed into the source control, it's not there. We used Git as the single source of truth. This actually solved a lot of issues for us, a lot of problems, made the work faster, easier. We could just push in structure changes, ask for more servers, and it will be just deployed by just approving the pull request on Git, and so on. There are also there are also some other important new roles that are more like, as you've seen in the recent months. There were a lot of talk about hackings and a lot of breach in companies and cybersecurity in the cybersecurity industry in general, and there is a very high need for people who have cloud specialized knowledge and security roles like cloud security architect and so on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having mentioned also the cybersecurity industry, because in Geeks Academy from this year on, cloud computing module will be compulsory for all students studying cybersecurity, for all students in data science, for all students in blockchain and coding, and for all students in gaming. So it's a matter which impact in all sectors. So we decided that regardless of what is the field of your choice in which you would like to specialize, you have to deal with cloud computing. And moreover, of course, we have also introduced certification, international certification, which allow our students, once they have finished in a job interview, to also to show concretely their skills acquired in the field of cloud computing. Can you please show us some examples or, for example, projects that you have been working on with the different companies you are consulting? Let's talk about the last months. I know that we have a slide you have prepared. The next one, exactly. So please comment it. Yes.
I have been okay. So I have been working on a few projects in the past years. So in the past couple of years, I've been working with Movix on an automotive industry, a very big project in the automotive industry, where I have designed the infrastructure and the architecture of solution on AWS, using AWS and Kubernetes, which is an open source technology for orchestrating microservices-based software or architecture. As well as I have worked with Chainside, which is a payment gateway, a payment processor, or a Bitcoin payments processor. It lets you accept payments in an easy and secure way with Chainside Pay. So basically, I have worked on a very big transformation of Chainside. The architecture was container based, but we have moved it onto Kubernetes, then did a full migration to Amazon Web Services. I have collaborated with the CSO and the CTO of Chainside to redesign and reimagine the way operations is done in Chainside by utilizing using methodologies like GitOps and DevSecOps and so on. So that's about it. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me make a very short summary of what we have been saying, the main points. First of all, you said that if you are a software developer, you're already halfway there. You moving from software development, and cloud engineering is just a slight shift in your skills development. In fact, there are many job openings which overlap software skills. So let's say if you are a Java programmer, you know Python, SQL, you already meet most of the hiring requirements for this position. But still, we can also say that even if you want to start from scratch, and this is Geeks Academy, we set many examples, in 6 months, 9 months, you can reach the required technical requirements to start work as a junior level. Then you said also the developments are got very accelerated in the last months, that even the career, you can, from junior level to become a senior level one, it might take 3 years in this specific moment, because there is a lot of requests. So this is just to say that start to consider profession in cloud computing as a concrete opportunity, not only for those that are already operating in the field of software development, but also for those that would like to consider a fully reorientation of their professional career. We have been talking about different levels in the career. So we have at the highest one the cloud architecture, which are the most well paid. Then you have the cloud development, and then cloud support. So each of those level, of course, they have different specialization. And we have also been talking of the presence of this cloud computing in different fields. You told us about some projects you have been developing, and you mentioned cybersecurity, for example. So how important it can be to have skills in the field of cloud computing, also for those that are operating in the field of cybersecurity. Let me ask you one more thing. So you have a passion, a very strong passion, which is blockchain and cryptocurrency. So how do you manage to...
The new democracy of money.
So that's how you that's the definition, the new democracy of money. So how do you find time to devote yourself to this new passion? And are there also some connection between your profession and this hobby at the moment, which is also a quite interesting one?
So basically, like blockchain is one of the examples or the concrete examples of a distributed system. And since I have a very specific interest in systems in general, and I have actually started, like I have got to know Bitcoin, I have got to know blockchain from Bitcoin and the hype of Bitcoin in the early days around 2015-16. And it is the way I see it is this is the new way of democratizing money. If I was back in Africa right now, or like a couple of years back, now it's different. Years back, you couldn't even. I would have never even opened up a bank. I could have never opened a bank account, let alone trade. And today, with cryptocurrency, you can do all of that without the need even of an ID. So
this is the moment of cryptocurrency. We know there is a huge interest also arising from institution, from banking system, insurance system. So I think a lot of nerds and geeks are getting some good satisfaction in this last weeks, at least.
Yeah, and money too.
Hopefully you are among them. Hopefully you are among them. But this is just to say that you see all, let's say, data economy sector, they are all interconnected. I mean, we can't speak of cybersecurity without mentioning cloud computing, of course. We can't speak of artificial intelligence without mentioning cloud computing. We can't speak of game development without mentioning cloud computing because, as we said, one of the deployment mode of cloud computing is platform as a service. So a platform which is offered you as a base where to develop your own, your own game, for example. And cloud is one of the pillar of the very important development of the gaming industry, for example. So that's why we decided tonight to talk about cloud computing, because it's a concrete opportunity both for those that would like to consider a new profession, so they can start from scratch in 6 months. 9 months, you can enter into this career path. If you're already active in the field of software development, you can, with a very little work, you can move to this new sector. And salaries are very good. We have said during this talk, you can go from cloud system technician with an average salary per year of $45,000, going through cloud software developer, cloud developer, average between $70,000 and $95,000 per year, up to cloud architect or cloud engineer. They can reach $130,000 per year. Of course, it takes time to reach that level, but as Suleiman Ali told us tonight, you don't have ages to move from junior level to senior level. He's a living example. He was student 5 years ago in Geeks Academy, and nowadays he's a senior cloud engineer. So he took him to move from the junior level to the senior one, more or less 3 years. Okay, we have to say he's very smart, very curious, very motivated, very passionate. So passionate that he found also another passion. By the way, I would like to remind that, to remember that, and to share it with you. When Suleiman was at our academy, I remember he would, in the break, among lessons of big data, data science, spend his time in some cybersecurity, activities. So I remember that at that time. And you participated, by the way, last year at the Capture the Flag operations. For those,
I have one too.
You won. Exactly. You also you also won. By the way, maybe interesting for you, but also for those who are watching us. This year we have a new edition of Capture the Flag, Geeks Academy. So stay tuned, because in the next weeks we will share the new dates of the Capture the Flag. Of course, it is open primarily to our students, to our former students, but also to people who are presented by our students and former students. So I guess you will be among those who will participate, and maybe you will get your place in the Hall of Fame of Geeks Academy alumni. So this is it. It was a great opportunity to remind the next Capture the Flag, that more or less might be at the end of February, beginning of March this year. So I think we run out of time. Suleiman, thank you very much for having shared your experience with our geeks. Hopefully we'll see each other in the academy, or maybe somewhere abroad, because we know that because of your job you also very often you go abroad. You go to Africa. We are deepening our ties with Dubai. We don't tell you more about that, because we will have some good news in the next weeks, also about some international activities of Geeks Academy. So don't forget, cloud computing, a concrete opportunity for your professional career. If you need to get an international certification, we are there. You can come to Geeks Academy, and you can have an exam also in remote. You don't need to be in presence in our academy in Milan or Rome. And again, thank you very much, Suleiman. We keep in touch, and we see with you, Geeks, in 2 weeks' time. Next webinar topic will be digital forensics. So one of our teachers, who is also active in this field, will tell us also about this very interesting profession. So looking forward to meeting you in the next Career for Geeks in 2 weeks' time. Stay geek. Ciao, Suleiman.
Ciao.